Here is a new video. It is also with an assignment, and the topic is household savings. So what is household savings? It is the income, part of the income, which is not consumed. So we will reconsider this definition soon. With the first CGE model, we had a representative household income denoted INC, if you remember well. This income was derived from the ownership of productive factors and their remuneration. Then we introduced an income tax, and this income tax implied that the representative household cannot fully spend her or his income. So we introduced another variable called DISP underscore INC for disposable income, and this variable was equal to 1 minus ITR times INC, that is to say, part of the income which is not paid to the government for the payment of income tax. So what can the representative household do with this disposable income? He can save part of it. These savings are equal by assumption to a constant times her or his disposable income, and this constant is called MPS for marginal propensity to save. The rest of the income may feed the representative agent's final consumption, so the budget allocated to final consumption is equal to 1 minus MPS times DISP underscore INC. It is worth noting that neoclassical economists consider that households first determine the amount of money that they want to save, while the rest of the income is consumed, while Keynesian economists consider that households first determine the amount of money they want to consume, while the rest of the income is saved. It looks like that it is simple to introduce household savings, because in fact what we saw until now is that it is just we have an income, then disposable income because of income taxation, then allocations of disposable income between saving and final consumption. However, in the model that we have designed, the introductions of household saving will imply another major modification, which is the fact that we have an agent with a net financing capacity. So, as we are in general equilibrium, it means that we have another agent with a net financing demand, or several agents globally with a net financing demand. So, in our model, it may be 3 agents. Either it is rest of the world, but in fact we did not until now consider relations with the rest of the world. This will be done later on. Or it is enterprises, but until now we did not consider neither savings from enterprises or investment from enterprises. We will do it at a later stage. So with the model that we are designing right now, the introductions of household savings implies that the government or public administration have a net financing demand, which is the variable pub sold, the public sold, is negative. We have a public deficit. So it means that we have to write a new equation which is used to be called macroeconomic equilibrium. And so in this model it is very simple. It is savings plus pub sold is equal to 0. So this is the macroeconomic equilibrium. It's very simple because in this economy it is a closed economy, so we do not have any relations with the rest of the world. And in this economy there is no investment. So it means that this equation means private net savings plus public net savings is equal to 0. And since there is no savings from enterprise, it means that private net savings is equal to household savings. So at later stages, we will make the model more realistic. So what we will do in particular is that we will introduce investment from enterprises and also a net financing capacity of enterprises potentially. So what we can also do is to introduce relations with the rest of the world. And either the economy finances the rest of the world, which means that the economy has a positive current account, or the economy is financed by the rest of the world, which means that it has a negative current account. And so all these things will modify the macroequilibrium equation. Let me mention finally that there are two options here. First option, the Léon variable is kept on the labor market equilibrium. So you remember that we did that because the labor market equilibrium, labor supply is equal to labor demand, is not independent from others. It is the Walras's law. So the first option is to keep Léon on the labor market equilibrium. So we have LS is equal to sum over I of labor demand plus the Léon variable. And so the macroeconomic equilibrium in this model is simply savings plus pub sold is equal to 0. But there is a second option, which is we do not have the Léon variable within the labor market equilibrium, which is LS is equal to sum over I of labor demand in sector I, and we put the Léon variable within the macroeconomic equilibrium, which becomes savings plus pub sold is equal to Léon. And the reason why we can do that is that if we write LS is equal to sum over I of labor demand in sector I, it means that from all other equations, we can derive the macroeconomic equilibrium. That is to say, if we have the market equilibrium this way, labor market equilibrium, the macroeconomic equilibrium conditions is not independent from others. And so with the additions of the Léon variable in this macroeconomic equilibrium condition, this condition becomes independent from other variables. So here is the new social accounting matrix related to this new computable general equilibrium models with household savings. So let me focus on the modifications as compared to the previous social accounting matrix. So you've got production in agriculture, industry and services. You've got indirect taxation in agriculture, industry and services. You've got a matrix of intermediate consumption. You've got a matrix of remunerations of productive factor, labor and capital in agriculture, industry and services. And so this gives birth to households' income, so directly for labor, and concerning capital, capital gives remuneration to enterprises which distribute profits to households. And so with an income, a total income of 10,000, households can finance first payment of income taxation to public administration, then final consumption to the agricultural sector, the industrial sector, and the services sector. And what is new here is that there is some savings. So at the row capital accumulations in the column households, we've got savings of 700. And it means that there is a net financing capacity. So there is a net financing demand, which is at the level of public administration. So in the column public administrations, at the row capital accumulations, you've got a public deficit of minus 700. And so this is new, and if you add 700 plus minus 700, you've got a total of 0, which corresponds to the total of the column capital accumulation, and it corresponds to the macroeconomic equilibrium, which was savings plus pub sold is equal to 0. So what I would like you to do is to design this the computable general equilibrium model with household savings. You have to calibrate this model with data from the social accounting matrix that I have just presented. There is no difficulty, except maybe for the marginal propensity to save, but you can obtain this propensity very rapidly from the division of the total amount of savings divided by the disposable income. I would like you to study two shocks. A first shock, which is an augmentation by 10% of labor supply, and then a second shock, independent from the first one, which is a decrease by 10% of the rate of indirect taxation.